Hello and welcome. We are so excited today to have Suzanne Greenlaw and Gabriel Frey, who are the authors of The First Blade of Sweetgrass. Amazing. Dun, dun, dun. It looks better on your screen because it's right side up. Amazing. So thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about the impetus for the story, about how it came to be? Because I think it's very much of a family affair here.
Yeah, you want to start?
Sure. Well, I guess the beginning started with having two small children and trying to find books that represented Web and IQ children and that had stories of them being especially outside. And
even Indigenous children, in general.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find a lot of them. There are a handful of Native books out there, but we really wanted to find ones that were written by Native people, that where our children could see themselves being represented in kids' books, and we were really challenged to find more than a couple books in that, and so we just had constantly talked about that. And then I had gotten an email. So I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Maine in the School of Forest Resources, and my work is to kind of weave Indigenous knowledge and Western science together to create outcomes and outputs that benefit Native people and gathering. And so I work to restore sweetgrass gathering in Acadia National Park. And that research was published in the newspaper. And the editor from Tilbury, a publishing house, emailed me. Just a random, was like, do you have a children's story in this research? And we're also harvesters. We're just not the research role. We're harvesters. Our family come from harvesters. This is our life story. And wow. I thought, yeah, let's do it.
I think your first reaction was, what do you think? Is there?
I was like, are we children's books authors?
And I think the answer is yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, and it's also, it's our story, but it's also the story for a lot of Indigenous harvesters. That process of knowledge transfer through generation is very much something that's how our culture is still alive today, is through that, multi-generational teaching method. So yeah, it's our family story, but it's also a lot of people's family story within our communities. And I think it's a little bit, while it's my daughter and my mother, it's also a sort of a love letter to our community.
And the other thing I really love about this book is not only just the familial connections, but all the different things that come into it. So yes, it's history, but it's also ecology, and it's just so many things. Have you thought about ways that teachers might use this with students, or things that people may have suggested to you and ways they're using this story?
Yeah, I mean, we are on that learning journey now, I'd say, of understanding how this could be developed and how the teaching tools around the book. But in that process, we have learned how this could translate. A couple of the things are the sort of place-based learning, right? It's where, like, what are the things in front of us that teach us? What also the sort of intuitive knowledge, for Native people in particular, the way we're taught and learn is that the knowledge is taught to us, but it also resides within us.
Yeah. So right? We're shown as children, but then we're also allowed to make our own way. It's not right. Like it's a way of also providing agency for children.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. The other thing, so many things I love about the story, but I also love the importance of the first blade. You don't take the first blade. That's the thing you let continue on. So that's a hard concept for kids, but this book conveys that so beautifully. Can you tell me a little bit?
Yeah, there are some families that will say, well, it's actually the first 8 blades or the first 7 blades, because you're always thinking of 7 generations into the future. But in a way of conveying the philosophy, it's, we felt it was like a more condensed version to sort of have that general philosophy to be able to convey to children. that if you leave some for future generations, then you'll never be without.
And embedded within our sciences are responsibility. So our ethics and our sciences are taught in the same sentence.
Right.
Right. Where that's how we pick is really based on this idea of sustainability and responsibility to the landscape. We have a responsibility to the grass itself, that the grass is a relative and it's a being that we are responsible to and that provides for us. There is a reciprocal relationship that happens to the things around us with us. We have a relationship with everything around us. And so that responsibility to the grass is taught to us quite early on, both for our own internal process. Like people, when we harvest, we go to the same location year after year. Like these aren't places that we over harvest and find another location at. We maintain the ability to harvest in these places year after year. And then also with the idea that our grandchildren can come here, the ancestors ahead of us and the ancestors behind us, are here with us.
That was one of the main sort of things that we wanted to convey, because we have elders in our community who have had that experience of feeling their ancestors on a particular spot of land while they're harvesting. And so that is at the heart of why you don't pick the first blade, because generations before had that same behavior and thought of them while they were harvesting.
So time is quite cyclical. It's viewed as a circle, right? Instead of this linear approach.
And it's such a beautiful image to think that, as you say, the circular, the wheel keeps turning and turning, and you have a responsibility to keep it doing that, and not just rip it out of the spoke. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I also love there's also an element of mindfulness, just as you say, being where you are and paying attention to what's around you and noticing and taking time to breathe. And I love how when a Musquan first comes up, she can't tell which is the sweetgrass. She has to learn that, and she has to let that knowledge come to her. And it's just a lovely, gentle way of introducing. Oh, did I say your daughter's name? Hi. Are you Musquan? Wow. You're the hero of this book. It's like, I know. That's amazing. Anyway, I just love that aspect of it. So
she's like,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean that is also part of it, right? It's the being able to have the practice and understand it as a practice and not have to be perfect. That's that sort of educational process of being able to make mistakes and try again, and then sit, breathe, feel your surroundings, feel where you are. And then that's something that a lot of harvesters talk about. And when you're in the salt marsh, it's not a comfortable place, right? There's mosquitoes, there's heat, there's all of this stuff. But when you get immersed in the process of this cultural practice, all of that discomfort kind of goes away. Like it's almost like even the mosquitoes stop bothering you. You get into this like real state of mindfulness.
Wow, that's amazing. We all want to get to that place where the mosquitoes don't bother us, don't we?
Right.
Well, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the back matter you provided in the book, because you have some really great information in here, just to share it with people here. Yes, see all this beautiful back matter. And you also have some Passamaquoddy and Maliseet words. And I was wondering if you could pronounce some of them for us. So if I say the word in English, will you tell me the pronunciation it should be in here? Okay, yeah, you can look at the book. It's fair. It's allowed. So how do you say grandmother?
Oh, yeah, so that's Okami.
Okay, Okami.
So a general sort of like primer, generally K's are pronounced as G's.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, very helpful. And then we know blue sky because your daughter.
Musquan. And so it also within the language, generally things aren't like things aren't objects. So it means clear blue sky, but what it refers to is when a storm has passed and you can see clear blue sky through those clouds.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's not like in our language, it's not like this is that.
So there's a whole nother dimension to your language that we don't have in English.
Everything within the language is contextual.
And it's action oriented. So it describes the action of things, the use of things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That explains so much right there, actually.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Hummingbird.
So alamosit.
Okay.
So and then I know. So
and it's not really a hummingbird. It's what is it about?
So alamosit is the little one that's always darting around, and so we named her that because she's always been like
there
that.
There you go. and good job.
Yeah.
Guligazat.
Okay.
So you can see like woolly is kind of like, have you heard of woolly? Woolly one?
Woolly one?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Woolly Gazat.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like saying that, but it's saying to somebody else. Like
saying it to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. All right. I have it. Daughter.
Also, does, but it's like it doesn't necessarily mean daughter, but it's a term of endearment for a female. So it's like for a little boy, it would be gus, but that's not necessarily saying that's my daughter. That's just saying somebody who's close to your heart, who is a younger female.
Or that like the community, or the community raises a child. So even if it's not your mother, you still be called that, and it's still this sort of community relationship acknowledgements.
Like in the Spanish community, people say mijo, mija.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily saying that's your, anyway.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, sweetgrass.
That's woolly mahaskell.
Okay.
So, and then also with that root word, guligazat, that's saying that.
Oh.
Woolly mahaskell is like woolly one. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good, the good smelling grass.
Mm. Well, thank you. I almost feel like I can smell that good smelling grass in this conversation with you. And the book again is The First Blade of Sweetgrass from Tilbury House. You should hold it up because it's right side up for you. And it's available now. And thank you so much for taking the time, Suzanne Greenlaw and Gabriel Frey. I'm just so appreciative of you working this into your schedule. And Miss One over there.
Yes,
and Miss One too. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a good one.